Activities in the classroom that get you to think at a high level.
In my history class, we have political discussions. Like we have debates, like actual debates. Like he'll say, who do you think should be president, and why do you think they should run for president? And we'll actually like battle each other out and like try and be able to prove who we think is better for president. Or we'll put like a famous quote or a picture on the board that we've seen a million times, and ask us to find a new meaning to it. And he'll have us contradict each other and try to prove why you're right and the other person's wrong, or why you should see it in a different light, or what's the true meaning of this, and is society wrong? Why is society wrong? Is there something deeper that society's missing?
Why do you like it? Do you like activities like that?
Yeah, I think they're awesome.
Why?
Because then, like, you think really hard. It's really hard to prove why somebody should be president, and like, it just like sparks in your head. Like, if you have something you want to say about it, it's not something you can talk about in your other classes, then you get on a roll and you just start going and going, and you don't think it's related to that subject, but somehow the teacher makes it connect, and you just like, all the things you wish you could say, all the things that you think make you smart, they actually make you smart, and you get to see like how your street smarts make you smart in a classroom.
When the teachers make it relate to me, I'm going to remember the information. So like she said, when somebody asks me, well, what is your opinion about this subject? How does it relate to you? Why do you see it in that light? When they come down to my level and they make the question relate to me, I'm going to remember it because it's something about me. It's not just some random thing I can put a relation to it. And therefore, it helps me to understand and to remember and, and to do better.
Okay.
Yeah, like what Caitlin and Rebecca were saying, there shouldn't be so many restrictions about what you can say and how you feel in class, because some other people might feel the same way, and you can bond with that person, have more connections with people, and like what Rebecca said about debates, that really gets me into the discussion and gets me excited about learning, because when I'm involved in an active discussion, even with the teacher, it's like I'm at their level, and I'm able to talk to them at like an educated and personal level. And when I feel like that, I know I'm learning something, and I know they're learning something from what I'm saying. So it's an equal exchange, and that's how I really am able to learn.
What I like is like one of my teachers, he always made us think outside the box when it comes to reading books. When you read a text, he was like, don't think about if you're like in a sentence, the boy was, riding a bike. Okay, he was riding the bike, but what else was he doing while he was riding the bike and stuff? Always think outside, and that made me really think about different things, especially in books. There's more to it than just that text. So that's one of them.
The next question we're going to ask the students, what are the activities in the classroom that disengage you from the learning process?
A long speech, a discussion, especially when the teacher just goes on, and you don't get to hear your peers' inputs on what they think, or you don't get to hear their questions until the very end. And sometimes the questions that they need to ask right then and there, other kids need to know too. And long, boring discussions, also isolated note-taking, where you're not able to bounce ideas off a partner and write down what they think is important and ask them why they think it's important. I find it better when I get other people's perspectives on things, because then I can take it or I can disregard it.
Yeah, I agree with what he was saying. A lot of times we'll read a book that's like really difficult, and they're trying to like improve our vocabulary and stuff. But what they'll do is a lot of teachers will just read out loud to you, and sometimes we'll read like 10 pages at a time. The teacher will just read it out loud, and when you're doing that, then there's a lot of other things you could be focusing on. There's more things you could learn than just one aspect at a time. So you could students could be improving their reading skills, but actually them reading. So just when teachers read for long amounts of time, yeah, that disengages my attention.
The thing that disengages me is you come in the same class every day, and then they just tell you, oh, open up your textbook to page 3-something, and you read. You sit there and read for the whole period, and you don't do anything. There's got to be times where they can engage you and ask your opinion. What do you think about this? or what can you change, or what is someone else's opinion. You can't just say every day, open the textbook, read from it, and then that's it.
Activities that I really do not like are activities that make me feel dumb, you know? I don't know if I'm coming off the right way saying this, but teachers don't really expect much from me. Like when I walked into my math class, there's some activities in a certain class that I have that they'll give it to you and it's like highlighting something or reading something and finding the key words. I'm not in elementary school. I'm a junior in high school, and I know what I'm doing. Well, in the particular class. And give me something that'll really challenge me, challenge my intellect. And some things that we do in this certain class are kind of pointless. And yeah, just give me something that'll actually challenge me, not like busy work.
I think routine is something that really just disengages me, because as high school students, we have like attention disorder. We can't just like go do the same thing every single day, repeat it. I know routine it's good, it sets something, but I want surprise, or I want just something unexpected to learn. That way your attention span isn't like lagging somewhere. So just surprise me.
I would like to ask the students here at Piedmont High School, why do they think there is a racial achievement gap in American schools?
I think that there's a lot to do with perception, like first day impressions or the way someone perceives you as a person. Like say you show up first day, baggy clothes, no attitude, no will to learn, then they're going to take that upon you the whole year. They're not going to want to like come at you and help you and want to stay after school and stay at lunch and break and want to help you. So that's also probably a big part. And if you don't have that, then the kids aren't going to have the will to learn.
Is there a particular look you think a student, from the adult's eyes, the teacher's eyes, is there a particular look that will give the teachers a different perspective of that student?
Probably the clothes, maybe the way they dress or the way they talk, the way they act in class, some like stuff that they say.
Okay.
A lot of times, like, teachers will see the stereotype. A lot of people just assume that, like, Asians and white people are smart. So when they walk into the classroom, the teachers, like, expect things from them, and if they respond to that, then the teacher continues to help them because it looks like they're caring about their education. Probably it just looks like they care, and so they'll give that kid more support because they think that kid deserves support. But if you have, like, somebody who's not getting as much support at home, probably who has, like, parents working or something, typically the African Latino students, when they walk into the classroom, they're struggling because they have problems at home, and the teacher often misinterprets that as not caring about their education, and they think that if they don't care, why should I care? And so the teachers think that they're, like, you're irresponsible and that I shouldn't have to help them. And so when you see, like, the contrast between responsible and irresponsible perception, it carries over into disciplinary issues. And so when you see the responsible Asian kid, when you ask who did this, then the kid you're going to trust is the kid you think is responsible, and the kid who you don't see trying in the classroom, you're just going to assume that they did it. So kids who don't get support at home don't get support in the classroom, and they often get punished for things that they haven't done. And so it's a constant spiral of lack of support instead of trying to build that student up.
I feel like there's a lot of expectations that comes from the teachers instead of, when you see a black person walk into the room, you're like, okay, I know I'm going to have a trouble student with this one. But then when you see an Asian person walk in, you're like, okay, I guess I got a smart person. I'm going to put this person in the front. I'm going to put the black person in the back. I feel like, even with my experiences, not with all teachers, but it's like, when they first see me, they judge me. It's not all of them, but some of them judge me. And it takes a while for them to see who I really am. And it's like, even by the clothes I wear, I mean, they may think I may be a thug, or even, it's like, do not judge me by what I look or what clothes I wear, even if I wore any of these other clothes, they would still judge me. It would not matter what clothes I wear.
So we're here saying how teachers and the media affect the education gap, but I think partially it's the person's fault too. You can't just blame everything on someone else because you have to take your own responsibility. I mean, if you didn't study for something, you can't blame the teacher. They're not going to be home making you study. It's your responsibility to just look at your goal. What do you want to do in life, and just strive for it, and not just let all these other things impact you. So you have to take responsibility.
One thing is that students shouldn't stick to the status quo of their minority, you know. Like me and myself and Caitlin, we're not the typical black girl at school. You know, we have AP classes. We're in like, we actually think about what's going on outside, you know what I'm saying? So really, it's more of how you feel about yourself and how you carry yourself. And so when I walk into a classroom, my teacher thought I was going to do bad, but I'm not doing bad. So I think it's just the way you present yourself. So if you come into the classroom ready to learn, then maybe the teacher might think more of you, because that has happened to me. Because I've walked into the classroom asking questions and ready to learn, and the teacher kind of favored me in a way. So I think it's just your attitude towards education that will close the gap.
I think that a lot of it has to do with bias. And it's not just from like teachers, it's from other kids as well. It's from other kids. You get like if you're the exception, you get asked all the crazy stuff because they don't want to ask the norm. If you're the exception, you're not gonna get the insulting questions if you're what they expect. And a lot of times we're not what they expect. And that relates back to why I think that there's a social gap, because first of all, I think that a lot, like what she had said, there's a lot of kids at home that don't have the support, that they need that push. I know I do. I know my parents did. My dad went to, my dad's black. My dad went to a private high school. His dad pushed him. He actually went here too. And I just think that a lot of it has to do with social status, because it just seems to me in the Latino and black area, like their community, their culture, in some aspects, it just seems so like a circle. It's like a lot of kids are going to have to break from that circle of not, you know, their next generations, they're going to have to push their kids. They're going to have to push the emphasis of an education. And I feel that a lot of it is, it's a cultural mindset in some aspects. Because you get a lot of kids that are like, man, I'm going to go work at McDonald's. I don't need an education. And, you know, I wasn't raised that way. A lot of kids aren't raised that way, but there is a big majority that still have that mindset for whatever reason. So that's a big, in my opinion, reason why there's a gap.
Okay, sure.